Devlin, Untamed.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The Platform.
iOS, it's only sport. It's only sport. That's the name of the show. We produce and present 1 till 4 on the platform every weekday afternoon. Today, highlights of include Breyton Paulse, 64 tests for the Boks, running through their lineup to play the All Blacks on Saturday. Matt Elliott, former Warriors coach, talking origin, and also his thoughts on how well the Wars are going this season. And the doyen, 50 years experience in the business, the Brendan Telfer experience, BTE. Talking Sam Cane and also Caster Semenya. But always, we start, tablets in hand, I say gather my flock. It's time for a sermon. Let's go to the mountaintop.
We live in an amazing, amazing world, and it's wasted on the crappiest generation of just spoiled idiots.
Solve it, you morons. This latest NRL scrap needs resolution. It needs it ASAP. I'm sure the Rugby League Players Association, the RLPA, feel their grievances are entirely valid, and they might well be. I'm also sure those at the Australian Rugby League Commission who actually run the game equally think the union is trying it on, and they might well be right too. But you can't continue to have the players being told to shun the media, and surely the Players Association knows it doesn't make any sense at all. Everything to do with the game loses with this action, and for what gain exactly? To make a point? To anger the administrators? Well, if that works out for you, all well and good, but why take it out on us, the fans? Because what you're doing is deliberately, provocatively shoving it up us. By dragging us all into your personal employment battle, you're making us the scapegoat for the fact that you can't get your own way. Now, I'm not saying that the cause isn't valid, and we know that there are issues on the table which have to be resolved. But the one question that neither side wants to answer is why are the fans being punished? What have we ever done except spend our hard-earned cash slavishly watching and following you blokes with unwavering support and mostly idiotic, unfulfilled commitment? Our loyalty's not for sale. You don't have our fandom by right. What I'm saying here, Players Association, is be very careful biting both hands that feed. I mean, us the fans and the fish heads. Victory over the administrators can't come at the cost of peeving us all off, of damaging the relationship that you have between players and fans. It took Major League Baseball after the 1994 postseason strike 4 years to regain that fan base, and it only happened because of the 1998 home run race chase. I'm just saying. The major sticking points, so we're told, include private medical insurance, implementation of a transfer system, and revenue distribution. Yeah, that last one. So it's all about the money. Of course it's about the money. It's only ever about the money. I think most fans, want this resolved, want it solved, and probably feel empathy for the players. But how long is that going to last when the players are being told to snub the fans in pre- and post-match interviews? I know there's a heck of a lot of people who also say that, hey, they don't miss the interaction with the players. I certainly do. I think that it is absolutely essential. The players and the fans of the game, you take one side away and it's just not as much fun anymore. So get it sorted and get it done soon, because we're not part of any dispute. I'm talking about the fans, and we don't deserve being made to be part of it either.
Devlin.
What do you want? We want information. Information. You won't get it.
The Platform.
But Auckland, that is a absolutely scary-looking Springbok side. No question.
Oh, that's what I'm starting with. The Springboks team. Experienced lock, Eben Etzebeth, didn't play last week. He's going to captain the Springboks on Saturday in their Rugby Championship Test match with the All Blacks in Go Media Mount Smart Stadium. That match is on Saturday, 7:05 kickoff. Of the 14 players who travelled to New Zealand a week early, 9 of those will start. I've got the full 23 here. Notable players. One's really... Lou Diego starting with Eben Etzebeth in the locks. Quagga Smith at blindside flanker. Fafta Klerk at 9. Damien Willemse is starting at first 5. Of course, Hondre Pollard is injured. Makazole Mampimpi, Damon Dialendi, Lucanio Arm, who's probably the best centre in the world. Cheslin Colby, Willie LaRue. That's a very good backline. That is their best backline. In terms of the forwards, I would have thought Dwayne Vermeulen and Peter Steph du Toit would have started.
Yeah, on the bench. Wow.
But then coming off the bench is scary for that sort of 50 to 65 minute mark. And as well as that, Malcolm Marx is coming off the bench. And everyone in New Zealand knows Malcolm Marx because he just absolutely beat us up
I tell you what,
in Nelspruit last year.
The first test last year. Look, of the 12 that they sent to New Zealand early, 10 are in
You're
that
14,
Springboks.
aren't
Yes, in the Springbok side. So that says that their strength and depth is something the rest of the world very jealous of at the moment.
Rugby League in Canterbury is set to get a significant boost thanks to a new partnership the region has signed with NRL club the Canterbury Bulldogs. Canterbury meets Canterbury. Canterbury Rugby League confirmed the partnership this afternoon, saying it will bring development opportunities and pathways to progress to Australia's elite age group and senior men's and women's competitions. Australian Formula One driver Daniel Ricciardo will make a return to the sport in a full-time drive at the upcoming Hungarian Grand Prix. The eight-time Grand Prix winner was axed by McLaren at the end of last year and signed with Red Bull this year as a reserve driver. He is replacing Nick de Vries at Red Bull's junior team AlphaTauri for the rest of the year. His first race will be July 23, which is when the Hungarian Grand Prix is. Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg has been pictured training with New Zealand Nigerian UFC fighter Israel Adesanya, along with Australian Alexander Volkanovski. Apparently, Mark Zuckerberg is getting into the ring with Elon Musk for some sort of
Well, no, they were going to
MMA fight.
Apparently, Musk's mother said they can't or something. Just stop it, mate. This is just a publicity stunt for both of these guys. You've already got enough billions of dollars. Stop it.
Tell you what, they're probably arguing over Twitter and Facebook and all that stuff and kind of having jabs at each other and then sitting in the same room just laughing.
Oh, you know they are.
Yeah.
You absolutely know they are.
Just,
mate, they've got a hotline to each other's office.
Yeah.
They're best of mates, mate. Even though they pretend that they're not, you know that they are.
Yeah. Novak Djokovic has set another record, I should say really equaled another record in men's tennis. He's taken part in Wimbledon, of course. He's advanced to the semi-finals, beating Andrei Rublev 4-6, 6-1, 6-3, 6-4, 6-3, excuse me. So he dropped the first set, won the next three. It's the 33rd win in a row at the All-English club for Djokovic, moving him closer to a fifth consecutive championship and 8th overall there, which would pull him even with Federer on both counts. I thought Federer had 7. He's got 8 at Wimbledon. I always thought he had 7. Now he's reached a 46th Grand Slam semi-final, has Djokovic. That is tying Federer's record for men. So pretty much in a few years' time, when he hangs up the racket and the white shoes and the Lacoste wear, every single record in men's Grand Slam tennis will be held by Novak Djokovic. I think we can all agree on that. All right, Saudi Arabian Sovereign Wealth Fund has the Saudi Arabian Sovereign Wealth Fund, should I say, has agreed to invest more than $1 billion US dollars in a new commercial entity controlled by the PGA Tour. And Greg Norman will be ousted as the CEO of Live Golf if the business deal between the Saudis and the tour is finalised. This according to a tour executive. The agreement between the Saudi Public Investment Fund, the primary funder of Live Golf, and the PGA Tour shocked the golf world when it was announced last month. And former Netherlands goalkeeper and Manchester United goalkeeper Edwin van der Sar remains in intensive care but is communicating and is not in a life-threatening situation. This according to his wife. Van der Sar was admitted to a hospital in Croatia last Friday after suffering a bleed around the brain. Very sad news. That's what's making news, Martin.
Devlin.
Oh my goodness me!
The platform.
Just a formidable Springboks side named to play the All Blacks Saturday night at Mount Smart. Breyton Paulse, 64 tests for the Boks, 26 tries, joins us. After looking at this team, the 15 and the 8 on the bench, that this is your A team, that this is the strongest South African side.
Yeah, Martin, I tell you what, it's pretty much close to the strongest team that South Africa can, put out on the field on any given day. But I tell you what, the team that played against Australia, they are 5 or 6, 7 guys who really put up their hands. So it makes it really, really interesting. And it makes it really, really good for the Bok management squad to sort of scratch their heads before they, select a team. But at the moment, the Boks are having a really, really a good, strong squad to choose from for any given day. And what has impressed me about the Boks is that, they can now bring variation to the table, which was really, really good against Australia last week. The likes of Marlon Lebo coming in, Andre Estes, and the big fellow, using silky skills, Kurtley Arons to score a hat-trick. So those kind of players, they can play an attacking game at any given day. And that is so exciting for South African fans and for the Springbok squad.
Scary for the rest of us because, looking from this distance, look, it is a really, really strong squad. And we can draw a couple of parallels. We had guys play for the All Blacks against Argentina. And, I'm thinking names like Damon McKenzie, who played really, really well. What do you do when you've had a guy come into the team who performs so well, like your blokes did against Australia? Because you're in that quandary. Do we keep selecting them, or do we try, again and change 10 names like they've done this time?
Yeah, it's a really tough one for a player to understand sometimes, Martin. And I mean, I've also been there where I also scored a hat trick and I was dropped, well, not dropped, but rotated for the next week. But sometimes, a lot of coaches, they have processes in place, which they have obviously communicated to the players and make them understand that this is what we're going to do for this game and that is what we're thinking for that game. And let's be honest, because South Africa respect the All Blacks so much, I don't think we're going to see a lot of kind of attacking rugby from the Springboks this coming weekend. It will be ugly again. It will be, I think, a lot of kicking, and they will try and obviously bully and suffocate and strangle the All Blacks. And that's how we always wanted to beat the All Blacks. And we have been successful in beating the All Blacks when we play that ugly kind of style. But in saying that, the Rassie and his guys have certainly created this monster currently. I can't remember when last we had a Springbok squad so full of players to pick from who can, represent the country in any given day. And I do feel that coming World Cup, the Boks will be they will be going out to defend their title in the best possible way. And currently, as we speak, I feel that they have a bloody good chance.
Oh, absolutely. Look, I mean, and, that's going to be a fearsome quarterfinal, whoever matches up. Obviously, those
Yes.
four teams, France and New Zealand and Ireland and South Africa, are all on the same side of the draw. It's just nonsense, isn't it? I mean, that's four, probably the five best teams in the world. Okay, let's just go back to the style, because that comes in for criticism. But look, this is about winning. This is World Cup year. And so at the end, nobody, Breyton, minds the fact that we only beat France 8-7 in 2011.
Yeah.
Once you got your name on the
People have
trophy.
forgotten about that.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I mean, going into a World Cup, we all seen over the last couple of years, or we look at the history of World Cups. I think, obviously, the All Blacks, when they played in 2015, I think against the English or against Australia, they were sort of very attacking. They've been dominating for sort of 7-8 years going into that World Cup. So it was a team that Steve Hansen has selected where, the guys know each other well. Sunnyball Williams, remember Mullen Niskara, and those kind of guys were absolutely exceptional. Dan Carter and McCaw. Those guys were so dominant, so they had the confidence to play any kind of game. But going into a World Cup, you always need a good 10 and you always need a good pack. And I think that's what South Africa always had. And I think this time going into the World Cup, obviously being as defending champions, a lot of noise have been made about, France and Ireland. And rightly so. They have been so consistent over the last couple of years. But I think what makes this World Cup really, really special and so intriguing is that, up to 7 or even 8 teams. I've seen the Tonga squad. The Tonga squad lately, people should consider the Tonga squad very dangerous, Martin, going into this World Cup. So we shouldn't underestimate one team. It's going to be, an act of stupidity or a yellow card or a red card that will suddenly swing into a team's favor, I think, getting into the playoffs. And that's why I think the neutral rugby fan is really, really excited to see what's going to be unfolding in France come September.
Oh, you're so right. I think everyone who loves their rugby is looking forward to it so much because it is the great unknown. Let's look at Itzebeth comes back as captain for you guys this weekend. He's coming back from injury. He hasn't played since April. I look at the naming of that second row plus your loose forwards. These are huge men, big men.
They are absolutely massive, Martin. I tell you what, obviously South Africans love their meat, and I think these guys just eat meat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I think that's a secret, mate. But there's some big guys. I had a chat to Archie Snyman on the weekend, after the game, and I tell you what, he's twice my size, for instance. So these guys, they really come big this weekend. But again, I think what Jog Ninama and Rassie and Dion Davids, the forwards coach, has got right this time is that, they add a little bit of finesse to these players. It's not all, sort of bully and running over people these days. These guys they have rugby intelligence. That's what I call it. Peter Step the Toy, these guys all got silky hands as well these days. And that is the difference, I think, with this current, crop of Springbok rugby players, which is really, really encouraging, from a South African perspective. But in saying that, again, I say it again, Martin, and this Springbok side, they certainly do respect the All Blacks. And, they will obviously try out and do everything to win this coming weekend, but it will be tough. I mean, playing away from home. But I can tell you what, the signs from what we've seen so far from the squad, it's really, really positive, and South African people are actually really excited. I mean, if you look at that reserve squad, all the guys on the bench, what we call the bomb squad, I mean, that is scary, man. So
It is. Yeah.
Martin. So yeah, I mean, it's really, really scary, and it shows you the depth that the guys have created.
I started doing sport on the radio in 1998, so it's been about 25 years. So it was right through that whole turmoil period of quotas and the controversies around that, and that's where you were involved as well. Is that now an issue in South African rugby? Do people still talk about that?
Martin, I tell you what, we've come a long way, and especially me as a player of colour who's worn the jersey for a very long time and had to battle all those questions all over the years. I'm really happy and proud to say today, when it comes to the Springbok team, the team is so well loved by all South Africans of all walks of life. Yeah, and it really is so pleasing for me. I remember when I started playing, I had to prove myself all over again to be able to get an opportunity in the jumper. And these days, I mean, people like Siya Kolisi, Cheslin Colby, Kurtley Arons, I mean, black, brown, pink, yellow, green, everybody loved those guys. And everybody, if you see a white boy wearing a Cheslin Colby top, it's just beautiful. I mean, Siya Kolisi is, this guy can be president tomorrow. You know what I mean? If he opens a political party, that's the beauty of it, Martin. And I'm really pleased to say that, yes, at school level, there's still, I would say, miscommunications and misinterpretations that happens all the time, but it's getting there. It's getting there, but at top level at the moment, and at URC level, there's so many players of color who are doing it on merit and who are the main men, if I can put it that way, in their respective teams. And it's really, really a wonderful thing to say when you're South African.
To hear the full interview, download the platform at the App Store. Via Platform Plus, you can go back and listen to the whole show and all of the interviews in full. Time to play a little game of what has more chance of happening, Lachlan. I'm going to read you a scenario, and you're going to tell me what has more chance of happening.
All right.
What has more chance of happening? The Blues win Origin 3 or England go on to win the Ashes series?
What's more chance of happening? Oh, I'd love to say the second one. Wouldn't that be something? Down 2-0. When was the last time that happened? A team came back from...
Never. Oh, no, Don Bradman, 1928, something like that.
It had the name Bradman involved with it. What's more likely? The Blues win Origin 3. Sorry. That's much more likely.
Yeah, I think their problems are going to square it.
I mean, they certainly could. I just don't think they're as good as the Aussies.
What is more chance of happening, Lachlan? The Blues win Origin 3 or Novak gets knocked out of Wimbledon?
Hold up. Let me have a look at the draw.
Oh, it doesn't matter who he's playing, mate.
Well, Alcaraz had a good one the other day.
No numpties, it doesn't matter.
Alcaraz is not a numpty. He's the next big thing. You know that. Come on.
On grass against Novak?
Not Australian Open. I want bloody Wimbledon.
Yeah.
What's more likely? Novak gets knocked out. Oh, or the Blues win Origin 3. What's more likely? Okay, I think the Blues win Origin 3 is more. Yeah, that's more likely.
What is more chance of happening, Lachlan? The Blues win Origin 3 or Damo starts at first 5 versus the Box?
Damien McKenzie. What's more likely? I think that's more likely.
No.
Yeah, I do.
No way. He's not. Mwanga starts about.
I don't think New South Wales will win tonight. Not at all. Their team has been rotated. There's new guys that are in there. There's rookies that are in there. They haven't shown any form of fight the way that Queensland have this series, or in last year's series, or in general, really. They never do. And I think Queenslanders are just a step above them right now. I think they are looking at this team and the series thinking, we can sweep them.
But Mwanga will start at number 10 tomorrow.
But I think it's also likely that McKenzie gets the start. He looked good last week.
What is more chance of happening, Lachlan? The Blues win Origin 3 or the Football Ferns win their World Cup opener versus Norway next week?
Oh, it's Blues win Origin 3. Sorry. Norway are a very good side.
Yeah, they are.
And the Football Ferns are yet to prove that they are a competitive enough side with these big guns.
What is more chance of happening then? The Blues win Origin 3 or the Players Association agree to end the media boycott before this weekend?
Blues win Origin 3.
Blues win Origin 3. I mean, they've been going for 20 months already and 1,000 hours of talks. They're not ending it today, are they?
Hey, by the way, Djokovic and Alcaraz are on track to meet in the final.
Yeah? Well, Djokovic wins that, just like he did at the French.
Well, you never know.
When he outpowered
Alcaraz had a very good win the other day. Who did he beat? He beat Berrettini in 4 sets. He's good. He's a good player.
What is more chance of happening? The Blues win Origin 3, or the Springboks only do one box kick in the whole game versus the All Blacks?
You're formulating this so that every answer is the Blues winning Origin 3.
Well, that's what I want. That's what I want to hear.
Obviously, the Blues. The Springboks. Box kicking it's what they're known for.
That's it.
You're known for yelling in the mic.
Yes.
See, I'm known for not being able to multitask and for having bad hearing amongst my friends. It's just my thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Did she say that?
No, my friends.
Sorry.
Not former friends.
Finally, what is more chance of happening? The Blues win Origin 3, or JT curbs his sideline celebrations?
Oh, I could see him actually being on his best behaviour tonight.
Oh, come on.
He doesn't strike me as the kind of guy who's happy to push the bat. He's not a Paul Gallen or a Phil Gould who'll say stuff yous. I think he'll follow the rules. I think the second one's more likely that he will curb those celebrations.
Origin number 3 tonight. It might be a dead rubber, but not for us New South Wales fans. We can't get swept again by Queensland. Matt Elliott, he's a Maroon. Also, once was the Warriors coach. We got some league to talk. Tell me why Origin 3 is still important, even though Queensland have won this series.
Yeah, look, I'm a Queenslander, but I still think I really want to see them win tonight. And every Origin game's like a grand final, to be honest with you. You got, with the exception of obviously the New Zealand players and some of the players from overseas, you got 34 of the best players in the world on the field all at once, and they're an exciting adventure for anyone to watch. And also, it's not just winning the series; it's also the accumulative score that is always very, very close. So it'll be an unbelievable game tonight.
Looking at the first 2 games and where it sits tonight, and with all the changes that New South Wales have made, just putting your coaching hat on for a second here, because this team selected for Origin 3 is not who those selectors thought would win this Origin series for them. Otherwise, they would have started at Origin 1. So what's gone wrong? What's gone so bad?
Yeah, I think that everyone gets that wrong. Everyone sort of over-dramatises. As I said, you've got 2 amazing teams, and we can sit there and tell each other why, and we pretend to be experts, and I put myself into that category now, mate. But when you've got that many good players on the field, it comes down to moments, key moments in games where people step up. And New South Wales haven't been quite able to do that on a consistent basis, but they've been rocked by injuries during the game as well, and that's really affected their continuity. So I think that anyone raving on about that doesn't really understand elite football. And so definitely Queensland have had more poise in the big moments. And when you got Cameron Munster and Daly Cherry-Evans steering your team around, that's a great thing to have. But if I'm looking at the New South Wales team now, I'm more at threat as a Queenslander than I was in game 1. I just feel like the inclusion of Cody Walker makes a big difference to the players around him. Definitely, I'd question Bradman Best's selection, but he's also going to be an Origin player at some stage, so he may as well start now.
Just looking at that halves combination, how crucial is it for you to get that right or to settle on one and stay with it? Obviously, with Nathan injured, has changed everything for Brad Fittler, but it just seems every year that New South Wales just can't seem to quite work the 6 and 7 out.
Yeah, I guess they've had Luai and Cleary for a while now, but look, the big thing is everyone looks at how Cameron Munster plays with Daly Cherry-Evans plays. That's great. Okay, I get that they've got to have their performance analysed like everyone else's, but it's their impact on the other players in the field that is the true measure of their performance, because that's why we call it the spine. It's what directs your team around. And New South Wales, like I thought strategically in their last game, they were so predictable. Having Luai on one side and Moses on the other, I was sitting there up in the commentary box, and I knew where the next player was going every time, and you can't do that at the elite level. If I'm sitting there and I'm able to predict it in the commentary box, guess what? Those amazing players on the field know where the ball's going as well. So that's what Munster and Cherry-Evans can do. They've got some real deception. They don't sit on one side of the field. They move and they respond to what they see in front of them rather than playing to a structured play.
Put your coach's hat on for a second here. What does Billy Slater bring? Because I can't stand these people, and they used to say this about Mel Meninga too, Matt. Oh, no, he's not a coach. He doesn't coach. I mean, I don't know how you define a coach, but to me, that guy has that team eating out the palm of his hand. They love him. They are listening, obviously, to what he says. He's got a huge influence. What do you see that he brings?
Well, first of all, his personality, okay? And he's not like coaching a team through a whole pre-season, so he's getting elite players and he's making the choices, but he's definitely a coach. So people that are saying that, they don't understand coaching. He builds relationships with players really quickly because, one, they respect him, but he's a great human, first of all. Then what he's also done is he's dragged into his coaching techniques what he did as a player. He is like attention to detail. Billy Slater, that's why he changed the way fullbacks play. Billy Slater is the reason fullbacks play the way they play right now. He is the person that changed everything. They weren't someone to just, trudge the ball back. They became a part of the spine because of Billy Slater. Billy Slater brings that into the environment. He understands how to motivate players for big games. The reason being, he's played in a lot of big games. And the last thing about Billy Slater is he listens. So he listens to his other coaching staff. He listens to his players. What other formula do you want to be a great coach?
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Jonathan Thurston on the sideline has been told by the NRL to curb his celebrations because they say that he gets a little exuberant. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but isn't that what Origin's actually about? How dare you tell this guy who's such a legend of a guy and obviously loves it so much to curb anything? He's just having fun, isn't he? Isn't that what we're meant to do?
My response to that is yes, 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 and yes.
Go
and
on.
Yes.
Yeah.
It just, come on. And we're also in the entertainment industry. Come on, Jonathan Thurston losing his stuff on the sideline. That's just a joy to watch.
Isn't it?
It's pure passion. Why would you say that?
I don't know.
I'm
I'm
with you 100%.
Yeah, look.
Just zip it, leave it alone.
Finally, let's talk about the Warriors briefly before we finish. And I know that you've got a big affection for this team. I mean, you remembered very fondly here, mate. It just seems to go from strength to strength. We've talked a lot about Andrew Webster all year. That win against Parramatta, absolutely vital. 10-7 now. I mean, Warriors fans have got every reason to feel happy and good about the season. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. And, they've done a really good job of building mentality. Even with my association, the Warriors, and I'll stick my hand up, is that was probably the biggest challenge of building a mentality. Ruthless is not the word. And I thought it was the word. It's not the word for the Warriors. The Warriors have come up with a way of playing that they believe totally in their execution, the way that they're playing their footy, and everyone's bought into it. And, the Tohu Harris's impact on that team, I know Sean's doing an amazing job. I'm so happy to see Sean Johnson getting the attention that he deserves to get instead of for the opposite reason. I'm so happy to see that. But Tohu Harris, he's, for me, just watching from afar, his impact on the team and some of the cultural, inclusion that they've brought around the way that they prepare, it's just been a joy to watch.
To hear the full interview, download the platform at the App Store. Via Platform Plus, you can go back and listen to the whole show and all of the interviews in full.
The Tight Five.
5 separate sporting topics, roughly a minute or so on each. When the bell goes ding, we move quickly on to the next one. Grant Robertson says, we've got to pull our finger out. It's up to New Zealanders to buy more tickets to the Women's World Cup. Well, that's pretty easy to say when you're a fancy-dancy minister and you don't pay for a single thing in your life, isn't it? And there's a cost-of-living crisis that the rest of us are actually wading our way through on a daily basis. The South African side, what side do we select to combat that? Is it going to be mass changes for the All Blacks tomorrow, Lachlan? Origin 3 tonight. Is it still important? Is the result of this game something that matters? Harry Kane Would you rather win the Bundesliga with Bayern Munich or become the Premier League's all-time top scorer? That's a decision that apparently he is facing right now because he has made a decision on whether or not he's staying or leaving Spurs. And JT on the sideline. Yeah, Jonathan Thurston. A little over-exuberant, according to the NRL, and they've asked him to curb his behaviour during tonight's Origin. Let's talk about the FIFA Women's World Cup to start with. Ticket sales are slow in New Zealand. Less than half of the 900,000 tickets have sold. We're a week away from the tournament kicking off, and Grant Robertson is pointing the finger at us New Zealanders and taxpayers, hard-working people, and saying we need to actually buy more tickets, get off our butts, spend some money, which is all very well. Coming from somebody who lives the high life, doesn't pay for a single thing in his life.
I doubt he'd be paying for a ticket.
Well, when's the last time he bought a ticket to anything?
Nothing. Never.
I mean, I'm sorry, but I'm not sports minister / finance minister. We have interest rates through the roof. Inflation. Petrol prices higher than anywhere else in the Western world. We got groceries, $5 for a capsicum at the supermarket. People are living with their head just above water, treading it at the moment, aren't they, most people?
And also, if you're an Aucklander, and there's games on here, and I think Miles made this comment on his show earlier today that, well, the tickets for non-football ferns games are not involving the big teams. They're actually really cheap. Well, that's good. Now, if I'm going to go to a game, I'm not just putting aside $20 or $30 for an adult ticket. I'm also putting aside money for maybe a couple of drinks and some food when I'm there. I'm putting money aside for transport because I ain't driving and parking around Eden Park. No thanks.
There's nowhere to
park. It
adds
adds up to at least $100.
That's
usually.
it.
I don't have $100 to spare.
So there you go. That's what the problem is, Grant Robertson. He says, oh, no, we're just not ticket price.
Tickets are cheap.
Yeah, they may be. Here's an idea. How about you pretend that we're all errant teenagers sitting on the roof of a government department building, smashing it to bits, and bribe us to come down. Give us some freebies then if that's the case. I just think this is the height of contempt. It's the height of arrogance. It's the height of somebody who doesn't live in the real world.
Every ticket you purchase, you get like $5 off a meal at the stadium, or every ticket you purchase, you get a discount on a parking lot that you've set up for the World Cup close to the stadium. Because all of a sudden, if you're taking off transport and you're taking off food and drink, well, you're thinking, well, this is actually turning into a slightly cheaper occasion. Maybe I will go.
The other aspect to this, ladies and gentlemen, is tell me what sells out for New Zealand sport in this country. The Breakers for their playoff games, right?
Yes.
The Warriors have been selling out.
The All Blacks.
The All Blacks sell out. What else sells out? The Silver Ferns, maybe when we play Australia at home.
Chiefs and Crusaders Super Rugby games did well this year.
Well, they had one or two that sold out, so it's not like,
as and when they played each other. I mean.
We're buying tickets to everything anyway, are we? Sports events in this country, this is frivolous spending. This is money that you have to be able to spend on whatever it is you want. And most people don't have that available at the moment.
And for people my age, I mean, I've been to a few Warriors games this year. I went to one Blues game, and I did enjoy them. But for me and people my age and my friends and whatnot, we get more enjoyment going to a pub, having a couple of jugs, having some food, a nice big fat fried burger or something. Yeah, it costs a bit more, but there's something just a bit more engaging and fun being at the pub around other fans at the pub and the atmosphere that creates. I'll be honest, that I find that more enjoyable.
You can put lipstick on a pig. It's not that's not exactly what it is, but you can't sell something to somebody who doesn't want to buy it, Grant Robertson. South Africa, what side do we select to combat that? What changes are going to be made tomorrow? Let's predict. I would say Brodie Retallick comes back at lock. If Sam Whitelock doesn't get selected, that means that Scott Barrett plays lock. If Whitelock does, Barrett goes to number 6. I think these are the changes that they'll make. I think Richie Mwanga comes in at 10. I think Will Jordan comes in at 14. Apart from that, I'd say pretty much the same side that played Argentina. Those are the only changes for the run on 15 for me.
Yeah, I think Beauden Barrett plays fullback. Because it'd be a big... As much as I'd love to see it, I'd love to see Will Jordan at fullback. I think it would be a big move for Foster to totally change up his back three. Caleb Clark probably starts on the left wing. I actually would think Jordan might come off the bench just because he's been out of All Blacks action for a long time. I think they might still give a start to Narawa. I think it's unfair to drop Narawa after last week. He played really well.
But we're talking about dropping McKenzie.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, is there an out-and-out starter at right wing for us?
Not at the moment.
When everyone's healthy? No, because I think Will Jordan starts at fullback if everyone's fit and healthy and at their best. I think Scott Barrett will start at 6, and I reckon they've done this a lot, these All Blacks coaches. Foster, and even before he took it, Shag did this at the World Cup, when they're taking on a big physical side, they love putting Barrett at blindside. And so even if Whitelock doesn't play, which I think he'll come off the bench, I think they'll probably go with Josh Lord because he was very good at line-out time and that height and that, I don't know, intrusion that he brings. So I think they might do that, actually.
All right, well, 12 o'clock tomorrow, 12:30. So I get
12:30, yep.
Origin number 3 tonight. Is it still important? It is for Brad Fiddler.
I probably won't watch it.
No?
Well, I get to bed pretty early these days. I'm an old man because I'm up early in the mornings. So I can't imagine I might watch the first half. I'd love to see Queensland sweep them. Absolutely love to see it. Because it's been that kind of series so far. They've been out and out without doubt the best team. And even if New South Wales come back and manage to win this in a tight contest... I would disagree
with you. I would say that in that first game, up until that Queensland stole it in the end, I thought New South Wales outplayed them in that game.
Well, I wouldn't say they outplayed. It was even. I would agree with that. New South Wales were arguably the better side. But the thing is, they had the extra man, and then they conceded 2 late tries and lost it. You deserve to lose a game if that happens.
No question about it.
And then game 2, Queensland were far and away the best side.
Totally dominant.
Yeah.
New South Wales didn't turn. Harry Kane. Harry Kane is a Tottenham footballer. He's a brilliant striker, the captain of England. He is now second in the all-time list of Premier League goal scorers behind Alan Shearer. This is a record that he said he's always wanted. He would have to get, I think, 20 a season for the next 3 seasons to break it, but he hit 30 Premier League goals in the last season. He could do it in 2.5 seasons. Or he goes to Germany, signs for Bayern Munich, and wins a Bundesliga title, because I think they've won the last 10 in a row or something like that, and they will win the Bundesliga title again.
2013. Yep.
There you go. So
10 in a row. Yep.
What does he do? What decision?
11 in a row.
What decision does he make?
I really don't know. I think if he went to Bayern Munich, the lure would be the Champions League, surely. It wouldn't be the Bundesliga.
Well, winning a trophy, mate. He's not going to win one of the Spurs.
Yeah, but I mean more so I'd like to think he'd go to a bigger club in England, whether it's, well, I don't want him to go there, but for his sake, I'd like to think he'd go to somewhere like United or Chelsea.
Can Chelsea buy another player?
Well,
they've already bought half the planet.
Chelsea, I mean, actually, he wouldn't go there, but he'd be great at Arsenal. Chelsea you look at their front, you look at the amount of money they've spent, and then you look at who their starting front three is likely for next season. It's a downgrade from what they've had. So he'd be great at Chelsea, actually. I know. If I was him, I don't know. I wouldn't want to stick around at Spurs, though. I don't know. What do you do? I mean, if you go to Bayern Munich, you're doing the easy. You're sort of taking the easy backdoor out of there and going to a team that's won trophies for every single trophy it's competed for the last 10 years. It feels. But if you stay at Spurs, your career, you're probably not going to get a trophy.
Well, no, you just.
So what do you do?
Spurs,
I don't know. You get. I mean, if you got Alan Shearer's record, that'd be incredible. It'd be absolutely incredible. But you'd have to go. It'd have to go maybe to you guys. I don't know. I really don't know.
A couple of things for the fans to finish with. One, and this is where FIFA are absolute and utter wad tossers. So around the Melbourne cricket ground, and you've been there are statues of sporting heroes, Australian sporting heroes. They are brass statues. So to build a brass statue costs a bit of money. So you normally have to have a benefactor or a sponsor. On these brass statues, say it might have one of Shane Warne. There's a little plaque that says the statue was funded by it. What FIFA have done is, because they demand clean stadiums, they've gone around and wrapped tape around all of these statues, right, so that you can't actually read that. I think that fans in Australia should be anarchic and ripping that tape off. How dare you come to our country, and how dare you cover up anything at all to do with any of our sports stars? It's not your place to do it, is it?
No, I agree.
And as far as the fans in the stadium go, boycott all of FIFA's sponsors. I mean, they're just absolute tossers about this. You know, does it matter to you? I mean, I don't care who the sponsors of the World Cup are. I don't care. I don't look at the MasterCard logo, if it is MasterCard or Visa, whoever it is, and go, wow, you're sponsoring the FIFA World Cup. I'm going to go out and use my MasterCard today. Does that ever occur to you?
No.
No.
Not at all.
Okay. Part 2 of this is the NRL telling Jonathan Thurston that he has to be less exuberant on the sideline.
Good. No, tell him off. Big fan. No, big fan.
Yeah?
Yep.
Shouldn't be allowed to have fun and jump around on the sideline.
No, people can. He can't.
No, he can't.
He can't.
No, there's no way.
He broke my heart.
Oh, of course, because of the... Okay, that's right, yeah.
Yep.
Isn't it just so silly, though? What idiot sits in an office, goes to a meeting, and the decision of the meeting is that I think we should tell Jonathan Thurston just to calm down on the side. Really?
Yeah.
Have you ever
So
played
you
the
don't
game?
want-
Have you ever been on the sideline? Do you understand what the hell it means to these guys?
You don't want one of the biggest faces of your game, one of the greatest players in the history of your game, to show his excitement for a game of rugby league? Don't you want him to do that?
Hello?
Well, I mean, if you're going to do that, you're going to tell off Cameron Smith for yelling "Go Boza" when Ben Hunt's running.
Well, that'll come
Dozer.
next, mate. This is come next.
When he was running to score that try in Origin
These are
last
the
year.
kind of people who run sport in the world. Every Wednesday on the show, the BTE, the Brendan Telfer Experience, the doyen, a man with 50 years of broadcasting experience. He's got plenty to say. Brendan, I just know that you are of the brigade that hoed into Sam Cane because he did what everyone thinks he should have done, which is if you're a pitch invader, I don't care how you get taken or kicked off the field, get off the goddamn field. But I know that you'll be sitting there in your liberal do-gooder left-wing state of mind, mate, and saying that Sam Cane this, Sam Cane that. Tell me I'm wrong.
No, I am pleased. I actually went on TV3's breakfast show the other morning and I was asked about it, and I said, I just hope that the sticky beaks of the judiciary committees that hover around organisations like the Rugby Championship stay away from this. Yes, you could argue that he has breached the player code of conduct by what he did, even if it didn't take place during the game. And they dish out red cards, yellow cards and penalties left, right and centre for all sorts of minor infractions in rugby these days. So I thought they'll look at this thing, and I wouldn't be at all surprised if they say, no, this is unacceptable behaviour by an All Black captain, stand them down for a couple of weeks. But I'm pleased to say that they have kept their sticky beaks and noses out of this thing completely and left it alone. And I think it's, if anything, it's enhanced the standing of Sam Cane.
I do too.
He owned up to it. He owned up straight away to it. He didn't get, pushed into a corner by PR waffle and media minders and said, say nothing, and it'll go away. He said, no, I want to apologise. He publicly chastised himself for what he did. And if you look at it, he didn't actually kick the guy. He
didn't
trip
kick
him up.
No, he didn't
and it's a subtle difference, maybe.
But I mean, okay,
Yeah.
but what do you think should be done? I mean, I've actually come up with a plan for pitch invaders, mate. What they should be done, I reckon, is that they should be hog-tied, they should be muzzled, but their eyes should be basically sellotaped open, and then they should be made to sit through a 6-hour New Zealand Rugby board meeting. How about that?
No, I'm putting all the blame on a 66-year-old woman living in England at the moment by the name of Erica Rowe. Do you remember Erica Rowe?
Not Roe versus Wade, that one? No?
No. Erica Rowe was the woman.
Oh, she was the one. Oh, okay. Yeah, that was the one with the police helmet. She with the big knockers and the police helmet had to. Yeah, okay, right. I remember that photo. Yeah. Okay.
Well, I described her as topless and muscular, but
okay.
And she ran onto the pitch at Twickenham
That's
in
right.
the match between Australia and England, and tangled with Billy Beaumont, who was the English captain at the time, and that started all of this pitch invasion and streakers and protesters. But the only way you can stop it, Martin, is basically if you wheel out a roll of barbed wire and put it down where the grass meets the bottom row of the seats from grandstands. And I think in English football a few years back, to stop hooliganism, they were doing things like that, weren't they? But now the security measures are such that if anyone tries to get onto the field, they're taken out very quickly. Yes, we've seen 2 examples in recent weeks where these more astute professional protesters, these oil protesters at Lord's and at Wimbledon, have managed to get into the centre of both the tennis courts and the cricket ground and cause a bit of trouble. But it's been going on for 40 years. Remember, a year prior to Erica Rowe, 100 pitch invaders got onto the field at Rugby Park in Hamilton and stopped the rugby.
Well, that was it. Okay, I think there's a real difference. Brendan Telfer is with the courtesy of JK's World of Golf, 24/7 out there at the airport. Look, there's a difference between pitch invaders and there's a difference between streakers, and there's a difference between streakers and protesters. I think they're right. All actually different.
Anyway, Martin, before you chop you off, I think we should touch on this interesting case with Caster Semenya, the South African athlete who's been at the centre of one of these kind of gender rows for a number of years. Have you
go
caught
on.
up with this finding?
No, I haven't.
Finding that's come down from the European Court of Human Rights have come down and have ruled in favour of Semenya and have said that she has been clearly demonstrated by International Athletics, this is the IAAF, which forced her to medically reduce her natural testosterone count, or else she was not able to compete in women's events.
Wow.
Now, this is different from the transgender row, but it's kind of in that sort of general field, is that she was born a female, but was born with a very high testosterone count, more commensurate with what you'd expect in men. And as a result, the IAAF came down with this peculiar ruling where they banned her from running in 800 metres, but allow her to compete in long-distance events where they claim the testosterone level is less of a factor in determining who wins a race. She's fought for 4 years with a lot of support from South Africa, and eventually took it to this very high ranking and prestigious tribunal, the European Court of Human Rights, which I think probably is more important in the court of arbitration in sport, where a lot of these international sports bodies go to get rulings. Also in the finding, they came up with a really interesting piece of advice for international sports bodies and said, quote, and I'm reading from the judgment here,
Yep.
Sports bodies must finally recognise that human rights law and norms apply to athletes regardless of what sport and their gender. And I think it's just taking a shot at these sports bodies who very conveniently have decided, nope, the easiest way to solve this transgender problem is if you were born a male, doesn't matter if you decide 20 years later to become a woman, you can only compete in men's events, which is, in my thinking, completely against the trend of social thinking on this area. It's rather like the attitude that many had towards gay people until homosexual law reform started taking place in many parts of the world, including New Zealand, to give gays some kind of equality or equality with heterosexual people. And this smacks a wee bit of that now, this decision to have this hard and fast transgender rule. If you're born a male, that's it. No more. You can't compete as a woman, even if you have gone through all of the medical processes and changed your gender to a woman. So it'll be interesting to see what the ramifications are for sport from this finding from this tribunal.
That's our podcast for today. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to listen to the entire show, 1 till 4, Monday to Friday, download the Platform app, and via Platform Plus you can go back and listen to whatever shows over however many weeks at your leisure, at your listening pleasure. Platform Plus. First thing to do though is download the Platform app.
Devlin.
Unbelievable! Incredible!
The Platform.